Hey guys, welcome to another Out of Spec Bits episode. You join me and my buddy Chris, who just picked up this brand new F-150 Lightning, fully spec'd out, dude. You got everything on this.
Yeah, it's the full platinum version, which is a nice upgrade from the standard range Lariat that had a few things missing.
Yeah, so before we get into this truck, tell us about that. So you used to have an F-150, you're a Ford guy, you were one of the real vocal owners online, sharing your experiences. But it was not always great. You had some issues with that truck, dude.
Yeah, they like to say it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I got the very first one off my local dealer lot, was tracking it on the train the whole way. And my first EV, I had a Ranger before, 2008 F-150 Lariat before, but I was coming out after having kids of a minivan. So this was kind of like, hey, I put in my time with the minivan, let's get this. And so, yeah, as soon as I saw it on stage, I reserved it and was lucky enough to get it first off the lot. Loved it. It's just comfortable. It's me. It fits me. Smooth, quiet, all the things you'd love from an F-150. It was familiar, which was a big deal for somebody that's being new to an EV. And yeah, it was a standard range because that's what fit into my budget. And for me, I'm doing a lot of Bay Area commuting. You've been in LA, traffic, Bay Area, similar. Yep. You know, I was getting 270 miles out of a standard range because...
Wow, that's amazing, dude.
I'm going between the same four cities. I can get to San Francisco and back, Sacramento and back, Monterey and back, everywhere I needed to go. So it was great. People started reaching out.
It was 2022 when you got it?
2022, yeah, early VIN.
Yeah.
And people would reach out and say, hey, can you bring it to this EV event? I'm like, sure. So I'd, show it off. I get to meet people from the Tesla Owners Club, Joe down in San Joaquin Valley, John in Silicon Valley, Al at East Bay, and they would invite me to theirs, which was really great just to learn that community. And then Will F. the Pump and Maki Vlog, I met them with Ford down at CES in Vegas.
The whole crew.
Yeah, Ford invited me out, thanks to Sergio, really. Sergio's the one that kind of brought me into that world. I wasn't really on X or any of those things.
Yeah.
I started, posting on different medias and started the YouTube channel to make it easy to share. And just started doing these different things that I had never done before. And so
now you're posting your road trips. I just saw the Grand Canyon one recently, so I'll leave that linked below so people can see your adventures. And the truck, what trim was it that you had?
It was the Lariat standard range, so it was missing some of the bells and whistles of the extended range, but it had the leather interior, it had the nice vertical screen, but it didn't have max tow, it didn't have a sunroof, it didn't have Blue Cruise, it didn't have phone is key, all of the things that kind of, it's, just a really nice XLT at that point.
Yeah, so that truck ended up getting bought back by Ford. So what ended up happening with it? What were the issues on that one?
Yeah, so I went through, it was either amazing or it was like leaving me stranded somewhere. So
it was catastrophic.
It was. We got stranded at we go with the family to drive-in movie theaters. And so we went there as part of a Tesla Owners event. Literally in line, it dies. Had a lot of 12-volt issues, been through 4 12-volt batteries, 2 12-volt wire harnesses. The entire front end has been taken apart for that wire harness. The entire internal, the entire dash, the seats, everything. I'm not convinced it ever got put back together quite right. Okay. And so, yeah, we were stranded there. I got stranded at work one day. And then most recently, driving down to Southern California for ACT Expo, where got to see you again. Yep. Almost to Harris Ranch. All the alarms that I had seen 100 times before start going off. And
it was like motor overheating, every single Christmas light. Yeah. I mean, it was insane.
The vents down here for the air intake had closed off because that's a 12-volt motor that controls it. So no air intake was getting into it. Overheated the motors. Everything was going crazy.
Damn.
Made it to Harris Ranch. Ford had been working with me and talking to me already, but I think that made it clear that, hey, it's time to buy it back. And it's just one of those early VINs. It's very rare for the Lightning to have these problems.
I've honestly not heard of any of these issues other than your truck. Now, I'm not in the forums every day. I'm sure you can find other examples, but it just seemed like there was clearly something wrong with your particular truck, and the rest of the F-150 Lightning owners, they're having great experiences with their vehicles.
Yeah, and they had a hard time when we were at ACT. They called me and said, hey, we got it fixed. Great news. You can pick it up on your way home. And I'm like, fantastic. 3 hours later, Ford Pass is going off, and I'm like, hey, do me a favor, go check the truck. And he does, and it's all the same stuff again. It confused them too. Every time they thought they had it fixed, it came back again. So it worked out.
And I talked to you about this as well, and I'm like, dude, you just need to have them take this thing back and start fresh.
And they were super generous. They gave me everything back, including interest and registration and ceramic coat and tent, and treated me incredibly fairly. I couldn't have asked to be treated well, and they've always treated me well. They've gone above and beyond always to include me in things and communicate well and work with me on things. And I wasn't looking to get rid of it. They had already given me an extended warranty to 6 years and 70,000 miles. And it really just became a problem of reliability with the family more than anything.
You got to have a vehicle that you know you can make it from A to B with.
Yeah.
And so they ended up buying that back. You got all your money back. That's awesome, dude. And then you went for the big boy. This is where I am like a little bit shocked. This is such a heavy truck. This thing is amazing, dude. You went full blast with this.
Yeah, I'm a person of extremes. I'm either going to go with the best value or I'm just going to go all in. And I find that the middle doesn't usually work out too well. So
I agree.
It's more truck than I need. Basically, I just gave Ford all of their money back.
Yeah.
But this truck cost me pretty much the exact same as my first one did.
Wow.
Found a great deal out in Tennessee for $70,000 on the truck. So shout out to Cleveland. That's Cleveland, Tennessee.
Cleveland, Tennessee, not Cleveland, Ohio.
Right. Okay. And so they took care of me. I was looking all over the country, looking at used options, but then that got into the warranty concern and how long is that going to be? Was looking at Flash, but there were too many. I had become accustomed to the folding mirrors and things.
Yeah, stuff from the Lariat that you had. And,
yeah.
The interior of this Platinum is just gorgeous.
The contrast on these seats is really fantastic. You know, the space is everything. It's familiar, but it's just got the little touches, the badges. These have the massaging seats in them, which is really nice.
Yeah, they were there in 22, then they got pulled out, and now they're back.
Like so many things, you really need to check the year of your truck and even which job it was. Job 1, job 2, they can absolutely vary. The current Flash, for example, job 1 has the full extended range battery, but job 2 has a slightly smaller battery.
Oh, really?
You got to pay attention with what they do. You know, scales aren't on this one, but it's in the 24. Things come and go. It's a little bit of magic 8-ball. You never know what you're going to get.
So let me show everyone around your truck. Let's talk about the spec, and then I want to talk a little bit about some software differences and just little things I've changed, because I had a long-term Tester 24. I had a Lariat with every option.
Yeah.
And we drove that thing across the country twice. You know, we just did everything with that truck. I had it for months and months, and I fell in love with it. Absolutely love that truck. It's also the one that we broke down in twice because we ran it out of charge.
Don't trust the BMS. I've made sure not. The lowest I got was 4%. I have not let it get lower than that
So
yet.
With the Lightnings, you're actually totally fine to run it to 0 as long as it's sat.
Yeah.
If it is running and charging and running and charging, you get sway.
And that's what I've been doing. Coming all the way from Tennessee, has been running and charging, especially with the wind. I've been charging a lot.
Yeah, and that's as long, you know, if the vehicle never gets a point in time to shut off and calibrate, that's where you get the BMS issues. And that's not unique to Ford, by the way. A lot of manufacturers, Lucid as well, we've seen issues with that tuning on some other stuff. But dude, the truck blacked out, looks great.
Yeah.
A black truck, I love a black truck. This thing looks amazing. And we should also plug back here. I see you've got your Turn Down for What podcast action. I'm a viewer, a listener. So definitely everyone should subscribe to that channel. And let's take a look in the bed, opening the power tailgate, dude.
Yeah, it's great to have the power up and down. And there are just these little amenities I think that you get used to and spoiled by. Ford does a good job with their bed. I think first and foremost, the key here is that it's just like any other F-150 bed. So the tonneau cover I already have from my last truck, or it could have been from any gas truck. Transfers right over, toolboxes, you know, ladder rails, anything that folks could need from a contractor perspective, a fleet perspective. These things are great values that way. You know, of course, the Pro Power is big for me. California with rolling.
Pop that bad boy open.
Yeah.
You can show the 240 volt on this. So you got
right there.
Yep, that's awesome.
I've run food trucks off of these. I've run my house off of these. It's got a cool button right here that can activate it, so that makes it convenient.
And there's something different with 2025 Pro Power, right? You can turn it on with the truck off.
Yeah,
so right?
Yeah, so a good example are, you know, our buddy Ben Westby, who is running his house off his truck sometimes. It goes and it impacts his miles per kilowatt because it thinks it's actively on.
Because he can't shut off his truck.
Can't shut off his truck. And so on this model here in 24 and 25, you can now set in there, run Pro Power with the truck off. And so that's great.
But why can't that be a software update to earlier trucks?
It should be.
There's so many things that should be.
Yeah, and another big example of that is, you know, in my 22, I didn't have any of the Tesla chargers in my native nav, but this one has that. So
really?
Now why can't, it's the same software, why can't it push? Jim Farley, let us know. We'd love to hear. I'm sure there's a reason. You know, Ford is super cautious when it comes to things, and
annoyingly so at times.
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm a big Ford fan. I mean, I love the F-150 Lightning, and even more recently, the value of this truck is really becoming clear. How nice they drive and everything. But even just getting into your truck now, I'm like, wow, this has way more stuff than the 24 I had has in it, and the 24 doesn't have that with an update.
Yeah.
So it's like the same hardware, but you know, you go back from 22 to 25, every truck is running a slightly different software version. Blue Cruise 1.2 versus now we're up to 1.5. Right?
Yeah, and so this has the lane change, and this has the different animation. I love how you can just like give that a nudge and up it goes.
Yeah, so nice.
Yeah, there's all those little subtle differences in the software, and you're just like, why can't it just push? One of the challenges, though, is the 12-volt battery in these. I know with like my sister's car, she has a BMW iX. It downloads stuff to the phone, and then it does updates while you're driving.
Yeah.
And there's a few vehicles that do that, and I think it's an example here with the Lightning. One of the problems I faced was that 12-volt battery, when it was doing an OTA, if it wasn't at a high enough state of charge or the battery had aged, it would kill it.
Because it wouldn't kick on the DC to DC.
Exactly right,
which it needs to do.
Yep.
And so just send one software update to like, don't let the 12 volt die.
Yeah.
You've got 130 kilowatt hours sitting right here.
I think that's one of the big factors is that they want to test and really make sure they're not bricking them, because if it happens, you know, we talked about the zonal architecture. Well, they're using all those modules. One module doesn't get the quite right thing. It bricks the module. Yeah. And that's happened a few times with a few trucks.
But honestly, it's kind of a disaster because they're going up against Tesla Cybertruck and they're going up against Rivian, all with vertically integrated software and hardware that just works so great. Now, I think the general F-150 Lightning owner probably doesn't care. They're just getting in, cruising around, charging at home, whatever.
They don't know the difference.
But the enthusiasts are like, why are all the new trucks getting the updates? And they're, you know, like all of the real enthusiasts, they bought early trucks. Now they're the ones getting left behind. That doesn't happen with Rivian or Tesla.
It's probably the biggest frustration I hear in the Facebook groups and in the Reddit pages is the folks that are seeing all these things roll out and they're like, don't forget about us, right? It seems, and I think if it was just more transparent, maybe there's reasons that we just don't understand and know. Share with us, get us involved. Hey, this is gonna happen. This is why it's a delay right now, or whatever it is, we just don't know.
I think what Ford needs to do is like by 2026, so like sometime in the next 6 months, I think they need to run an upgrade campaign where everyone can bring their Lightning to a dealer or just through over the air and just get every single truck with the same modules and the same, you know, software so everyone can start fresh.
And it's interesting because these things in some cases do exist. They're in what they call FDRS. And they can plug them in and they can update the modules, but they won't do it unless it's part of what's called a CSP, customer service program, or unless it's part of a warranty situation.
This is too complicated. It should just be update all trucks. Thanks, done. Hit the button. Because there's other updates as well beyond, like we'll show everyone inside the charge limit stuff. Let's head to the charge port too. There are some physical changes between the trucks. For example, the newer ones only have this cutout on the driver's side, which I think is fine. The other side was always just for decoration. You mentioned this, a better DC flap that's not as floppy.
This is a little different too. The little ridges aren't in the previous models as far as how it clips on there. I don't know if that's a security or safety thing there, but
and also charges faster than the early trucks. They're now 500 amps.
Yeah, now the good news there was they did update that with the trucks. Now, the cadence is slower than it should be, but my 22 did have the 500 amp boost. So being part of the early access program, folks like myself and others got that first. We tested it. It did start to roll out. So some cases they do figure it out and they do push it.
But what's weird is they'll send the update just for that module. They won't like update all the other stuff.
10 others that have features.
And so I really think Ford needs to just get all the trucks in the same place, because that's honestly, you know, I'm sort of in the market for an F-150 Lightning. I want to get a used one. And I'm a little bit concerned about buying a used Lightning because I have no idea what software is going to come on it. And I think you made the right choice just getting a 25. Now I'm not prepared to drop 70 grand on a brand new Lightning.
Would not recommend that financial decision. This is not financial advice.
Now it looks great. You know, I love the Platinums. The only downside to going with the Platinum for my use case is I can't put 10,000 pounds on the back of it. It's what, 7,700?
Yeah, and this does have the max tow, but it is limited because of the other accessories and things that are part of it.
The wheels make a difference.
And the wheels, yeah. If it was up to me, I would have, I even asked the dealer, is there any value in these wheels? Would you like to swap them for Lariat wheels? And at some point I may swap them.
Yeah.
Because I actually prefer the 20-inch and the better efficiency and that kind of stuff. Or maybe I'll black these out and do something with those. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So before we jump inside, let's open up the front trunk, because this has always been the Lightning party piece. It's the mega power frunk. They still have the biggest frunk out of everyone, dude.
Yeah, I love throwing my stuff in here. You know, if you look at some of my other videos, you'll see I have a what the frunk that actually sits right into this insert. Has speakers, it lights up. Shout out to Tony Pham, who made that for me from the Tesla Owners Club East Bay. It's awesome. So yeah, check out some of my other videos for that one. But this space is unmatched to me. I mean, it's a big deal. I use it all the time, and it's got the Pro Power here as well. So you can plug things in here if you've got your tools and you're going somewhere. You can line up all of your chargers here. You can keep a cooler in here that can be like a fridge freezer, and that can be powered off of here. I love frunking out of this thing. It's one of the most fun things to do. The space is ultra usable. You can hang your groceries. There's nets and stuff that I have that go on here. It's phenomenal. There's even an area here for like a cup holder that sits right here.
Yeah.
And there's these little cutouts. You see some of this stuff on the Gravity, who I think is the only other one to me that really did it right.
Yeah.
I love the Gravity for what they do with this. But yeah, this a lot of others fall short in this frunk area. This is one of those deal breakers for me. If it doesn't have a usable frunk, I think the fact that it's power up and down also
makes a huge difference.
Makes a huge difference in terms of whether it's used.
Like, unlike Rivian, you can actually just slide stuff in. With my Rivian, I got to go up and over, and it's on one hand it's nice because all my stuff doesn't fly out when I've got it piled up, but it's also, this is such a nice loading height.
It really is. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it.
So let's jump inside. I want to show everyone the interior of your Platinum trim. Now I am. Yeah, this right here is from like 24 or 25?
24.
24, yeah, where they don't have the charge port cutout on the side. So that's how you know you can find a newer one. I just think this truck is so cool. I love these things. Having it blacked out with the Platinum. This interior is nice, dude. Even I drove it just earlier and I forgot just how quick they were, how smooth it is. I love the nice leather on the steering wheel. This is kind of like a luxury car and a truck all in one. Yeah,
the trim is a little bit different. It has this white stitching and it kind of lays out throughout here. And versus the Lariat, it's got more of a copper looking. Same thing, it's got kind of the gray inlays there. So yeah, it's little subtle things that are different about it. The seats are definitely an upgrade on the Platinums. These are really soft headrests. There were the previous ones that had speakers in. These don't have those, but it does have the more advanced speaker system in it, which I really appreciate, and I know a lot of people do. And so there's the little subtle things that are different. This whole steering wheel is powered, whereas in my standard range Lariat, it wasn't. It was still manual. The foot pedals were still powered. The seat was still powered. Weird little things like, nah, you're not going to get this. You're going to save a little bit of money there.
Oh, and that's always been the Ford thing, economies of scale. You know, you take a $1 part out here, but multiply that times 1 million trucks or whatever. It does make a big difference. I want to show in the software. So what's crazy to me is we're now in 2025, and when we were in this thing earlier, the lag of this system
still there.
Why have they not upgraded the processor of this thing?
I'm gonna, obviously I don't know, but if I was gonna guess, and I love to just guess and speculate because that's how I roll. So take this for what it's worth. I just think they use the same things and they don't want to redesign or re-engineer. They're not making money on them as it is. The idea of just using the same stuff and cookie cuttering as much as possible. They're going to wait until the 27s and 28s when they have that new gen stuff coming out, and you're going to have that mix of powertrains. It's going to be, BEV. It's going to be series hybrid. It's going to be they're all going to be on that shared platform of software. That's going to be amazing. In the meantime, they're just not going to waste, in their minds. I'm not speaking for them, but I just don't think they're going to invest the time, energy, and effort into those little things that could make these an elevated platform. I think they're focused on that.
Yeah, and again, that's just something that drives me crazy too. Like, I want to buy a vehicle that's cared about and supported from an automaker. And I don't know, I really do love the Lightning stuff, but yeah, this sort of just like glitchiness and lag and waiting still, like, come on, holy smokes. I hate that. Like, it's 2025. You can forgive the first trucks, but at least fix it. Now, this is huge. They've made it to 2012 Tesla. So you finally just have a nice, normal slider for your charge limit. Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, I really love those aspects that they've improved. The little creature comforts and the little improvements do matter. I wish they'd be faster. I wish it didn't lag like
Yeah,
it,
my
you know.
gosh, come on. And you also have AC charge limit, which is new for the Lightning, you were telling me.
Yeah, I really like that there. I was given the example of when I first bought mine, I was, I didn't know better until I watched some Tom Malogny videos about melting down your outlets, and I was going to plug it into our dryer plug.
Yep.
And that was going to pull the full 30 amps, and I would have melted down the house. And I saw Tom's video, and I'm like, oh, let's not do that.
Yeah.
I could have, easily put this down to 24, and that would have been a big benefit, I think.
But what's interesting is I'm noticing this only goes up to 48 amps.
Yes, so that's one of the changes. We talk about Ford giveth and then Ford taketh away. So this has back the massaging seats, but now you're going to charge slower for it. So
yeah, no 80 amp charging.
No 80 amp charger. They went away from that. You can still spec it if you have fleet, but in the retail customers, you cannot find the 80 amp anymore. And interestingly, they're still giving away the Ford Charge Station Pro as part of the Charges Where the Home Is promotion. So you get the 80 amp charger and not the ability to charge the truck. It's an interesting strategy. Yeah, I can't explain that one. I just think, one of the reasons I got this for a price is they're discounting these things, and the way they get these discounts is they just, no more bed scales. Okay, no more 80 amp charge.
But for a platinum truck, dude, they should have kept the 80 amp charger. I could see on a Lariat, I could see on an XLT, a Flash. Honestly, 48 amp is more than enough for most people. Yeah. But I have a lot of friends who have Lightnings. They use them for work, whatever. They 80 amp charge them for a couple hours. It saves them the cost of a DC charger. Yep. But here, that really does limit. Now, thankfully, you mentioned fleet still can get 80 amp.
Correct. Yep, absolutely. And an example of this is as I've been coming across the country, I stopped at Martin Meek's house and spent some time there in Kansas, and there was no way for me to get it fully charged at 48 amps. So even though I was going to stay there overnight and charge it, the size of the battery at 48, he has the Charge Station Pro. His Lariats do have the 80 amp charging. Yep. The math just didn't math on that, you know, so I did have to still use a DC charger.
And 80 amp charging is becoming more popular. ChargePoint's all in on 80 amps now. I'm putting 80 amp charging in here at the hub this week. Like, it's nice to have that stuff.
It is. It's one of those equations that someone, I guess, said that's an area we can cut. And so it's just those little things that you wish were there, but maybe this truck would have been $3,000 more if it had those little things that are missing. I don't know.
And what about route planning? Has that been solved yet? Because I know Apple Maps has route planning now.
Good God. How long do you want this video to be?
Well, it's out of spec. So.
Route planning, bane of my existence. I have an entire series that you're going to link, I think, of my route planning fiasco.
Oh, happy to link that. Yes.
Yeah. I did a better route planner, and I've done the native nav. And the native nav for me was a deal breaker because there's no Tesla charging, and I'm just not going to do a trip without Tesla charging. That's on my 22. This one has it. But then there wasn't really a way to set up, like, I want to reach the charger at this state of charge. I want to reach my destination at this. I want to have the Tesla as the preferred network. You really can't do a lot of those things as elegantly as you can in a Tesla. So, what was ended up happening is a better route planner is as close as you can get to that. And then with Google Maps, I don't have that on my iPhone for EV routing. You have to have Android.
Right.
So if you don't have that, I hear that is the best of them.
Okay.
And then with Apple Maps, it's just tragic. Like, it wants to get you to places with 17 to 22% state of charge.
Yeah.
And towards the tail end of my trip to Arizona, I just started purposely charging 10% less than it told me.
Okay.
That was kind of the way to go. But
that's annoying.
When you bring it up, and I'll show you real quick here, for example, if I go and I say, hey, let's go to the Rove chargers in Southern California, and let's route plan this. And let's say I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna head to the Rove charger next and head back home. And everybody's like, oh cool, I'd love to meet you. Where should we meet up? And I'm like, all right, well, let's see what chargers I'm gonna be at, and I can tell you where to meet me. Well, hey, my next charge is gonna be here in Colorado. Why don't you
It doesn't even tell you which one it is.
I have no idea. I have no idea where I'm going, where I'm going to be. There's no labels. I mean, I can, there's nothing.
Dude, that's so annoying.
Totally useless. So the entire time, like the whole theme of that last video I made about the Apple EV route planning was, I don't know where I'm going. We're going to find out together. Every stop was like that. So,
dude, we got to do more route planner series. We raced all the route planners against each other for like one of our race to Vegases, but I want to do more. I think it'd be really fun because kind of most people suck at this except Mercedes, Porsche, Tesla, and that's kind of it. The new Gravity's got some stuff, BMW's got some stuff, but like Ford really needs to dial this in.
Your video was my inspiration for the return trip, and I said, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow exactly whatever it tells me I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, and it took me down, you know, some roads that had detours and some areas of the Mojave Desert that, you know, Victorville and Palmdale out by Edwards Air Force Base. Instead of taking me to the Tesla Mojave chargers, it was taking me to like Bakersfield, where there were, you know, like 12 chargers instead of the ones that were at Tejon that had 50 or whatever.
Sure.
At one point, it made me stop at Harris Ranch, which is an awesome stop.
Yeah.
But I can't get home from there. So then I had a secondary stop.
So you should have pushed it farther on that leg.
Yeah. And I had 20% state of charge left. There was no reason not to go to Fireborough.
Yeah.
And then it stopped me at a stop where I just happened to know that they had the Tesla, they were doing the racing that they have out there.
The Corsa.
Corsa, yeah, they were doing that race out there. So they sent me to an 8 charger, which, you know, everybody still does the men's urinal thing where they go every other one.
Yeah.
I got really lucky somebody was coming out as I pulled in.
Right, because your port's not on the native location.
And there were so many better options, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I think, well, I guess just to summarize with the Lightning, it is a mix of good and bad, because there's so many positive things about this truck that make it so hard to ignore, make it so hard to drive anything else. I mean, I remember when Ford took our Lightning back after, you know, we had it for a few months, I was like, oh, damn, it's like so nice to have one of these. It's such a useful vehicle. But on the other hand, the software, they really are lagging in the software department. And they're just, you know, I think what kind of bothers me a little bit is they're always like, we're customer focused, we listen to our customers, we do this. Well, why don't they listen to us on this stuff? Yeah. That's what I don't get. The Ford community has been talking about software updates and Blue Cruise and charging performance updates for so long, and they're ignoring it. So I don't buy this whole they listen to customers in every area thing.
There is a small core group at Ford that is doing really great work with the EVs, but relative to the rest of that organization, it's tiny.
Yeah.
And I think they did, for exactly these reasons of Legacy Auto being Legacy Auto, they did split them off, and they've got the Palo Alto group, Skunk Works, they've got the Irvine group, you've got the core group that we know with Jake and Emily there in Detroit.
Yep.
And that's a relatively small team, and they definitely hear it, and they definitely listen to us. And I was just on a call yesterday with Ford.
Okay.
And they 100% hear us, they 100% know, but those wheels, they turn slow.
Yeah, it's got to be a company culture thing at the moment, and it just seems like it's so big, and there's almost two schools of thought inside of Ford. There's the guys that are just trying to, you know, ride out their career and do it how they've always done it, and then you get this new wave of enthusiasm, and I think Ford just needs a little bit of new blood and a new way of thinking, and maybe this next generation of products will really bring them there.
I think, and maybe I've just drank the Kool-Aid too long because I'm just such a fan. I think they're going to be phenomenal. I think the next generation, I think they know what they need to do. I think that, you know, people might listen to this stuff that we're pointing out, the nitpicks. You know, if you said before, we love these vehicles and we do them because we want them to be better.
Absolutely.
And someone might think, well, why did you not buy X or why did you not buy Y? And I just, you know, I was talking to you earlier about you really got to get in and drive the truck and be the right tool for the job, the right vehicle for you. And you don't drive these vehicles on paper. You drive them. And you've talked before, you like to sit low, you like to be wrapped in it.
Yep.
I like to sit high. I like to have, you know, my armrests all at an even level. I like things to be within reach. There's these little things that matter to me more than, I guess, the glitchy software. And if you're coming from, you know, in my wife's case, a Ford Edge, or in my case before, a Honda Odyssey minivan, you get into this and you're just like, this is awesome.
It really is. And that's the thing. Driving this truck is amazing.
Yeah.
And so many people, if they're not super familiar with what the competition offers from a software standpoint, they're going to be happy with this, dude. They're going to charge it at home. They're just going to stay within the range. And it really is the perfect truck for so many use cases. And that's why I want to buy one. I really want to get one. I just want like the cheapest used one. I don't want to, I'm not here to drop 70 grand on one. I'm glad you did, because I got to drive it and I love it. And I wish this truck wasn't 70 grand, but they are. That's just the nature of trucks these days, electric or not. And I mean, it's a beautiful rig, dude. I'm so thrilled that you got it. I'm really thrilled that Ford took care of you. That is like the coolest situation right there. I went through something similar with my Cybertruck recently, Tesla buying it back. You got your F-150 bought back, and you showed them some love again. You took that money, gave it right back to them, and well, to at least a dealer, and then you got this Platinum. So congrats on this thing, dude.
Yeah, I've never been happier than I've been in a Lightning. It brought me back to my days of high school, my first car, where I just looked for any excuse to drive, just get on the road. This road trip for me, shout out gas vehicle.
Mustangs.
this road trip for me has just been an absolute joy, and its comfort is, 15-hour days in the truck, and it couldn't be a nicer ride. The sound system is great. Getting to meet all these people that I've only seen online, going to places and meeting folks is really what the community is about. It's what I dig on. I've had so many great adventures along the way, and I've done it in comfort. And that, I think, for me, more than anything, is it feels right and it fits me. It may not fit you. It may not work for your work case. Pick the one that does. Don't let the outside noise influence you, because you're going to get inside of a vehicle that on paper is supposed to be this phenomenal thing, and then it's got a rattle here, or it's got this other thing that does matter to you. And so make sure that you're buying the vehicle for you would be my only advice.
Yeah, cars are very much an emotional decision.
Very emotional.
And sometimes they don't have rationality to them,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Cars should not be totally rational, in my opinion. They should be fun. You should enjoy it. And I'm so glad you got this, and thanks again for letting me drive it. It reignited my love for the Lightning. I know I brought up some negative points, but I just wanted a balanced view. The Lightning rocks, dude. It's so cool.
Best vehicle I've ever owned by far.
Amazing. Love to hear it. Well, thanks for doing the video with me.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. I'll leave all the links turned down for Watt and all the other shows and
Bow Family EV, help if you like this kind of content, check it out. I've got Cybertruck videos in there. I've got a VinFast in there. I got to drive the VF9 last year before it was even available.
Yeah, that was cool.
There's lots of stuff in there. Check it out, like and subscribe, or don't actually. If you're not gonna watch it, don't subscribe. I've learned this.
Yeah.
I've got 7,000 subscribers, but a lot of them, interestingly, were like, I got a bunch from Vietnam for VinFast.
Oh yeah, and now they don't watch your stuff.
Now they don't watch my stuff. I wish I could be like, nobody's watched for 6 months, kick them out.
Yeah,
you know?
That would be, honestly, that is the way YouTube works. They want your subscriber base watching. That's why a lot of big channels end up getting sort of stagnated.
Yeah. So yeah, if you don't like the content, just hit like and then tell me you don't like it, because that's going to help spread the word, let other people not like it as well. And then drop any kind of comment. All that stuff helps.
Amazing. Well, thanks for coming all the way out here to Colorado. It was fun to see you. Congrats on the truck, and there will be more videos coming with us together at some event at some point in the future.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.